Hey guys, Justin Derricks here again. Just wanted to talk real quick about something that we see a lot with younger handlers, younger dogs, and something that's going to help a lot of folks out. I think when it comes to actually training your dog and setting your dog up for success. And this doesn't matter whether or not you're running a real young puppy, whether you're just going to be a straight meat dog hunter, or if you're going to run the highest levels of field trials. All right. This little tidbit's going to help you out when it comes to your training, and hopefully, you'll see why we do this and what it's used for. So what we're going to talk about today is getting your dog properly lined up, and this doesn't matter whether it comes to marks, whether it comes to blinds. It all builds upon itself, and you'll see why here in just a second as I go through and explain it. So what we're talking about when we line these dogs up for blinds and marks. All right, I got three of my helpers out here today. I got Heffa sitting here behind me, who's a year old. I would consider her a started dog. All right, I got Reese way in the back here. All right, she's my almost 3-year-old female. She's at a seasoned level, senior, so you're intermediate level. And then my main man Gage here, who is my old man of the house, about 7 years old. He's got his finished, his master hunter. He's dabbled in field trials, been to the Grand, all that kind of stuff, right? So you've got all three levels of dogs here, and you'll see why here in a second as to why we do what we do when we line these dogs up and the reasoning for it. So what I mean when I'm talking about lining a dog up, all right, when we have a mark, all right, so let's see if we can see it here. So you'll see the winger out there, right there, all right? So that mark is going to go, trying to do this backwards on the camera, going to go from right to left, all right, right over here, right along the driveway, all right? So what we want to do when we get these dogs lined up is we want to point these dogs to where the mark is going to land, all right? And so what I mean when we say line these dogs up, Gage here, sit, look, sit. And so what I mean by that is we want a straight line coming from the tail, up the spine, mark, through the neck, through the head, and straight through the nose is to where that mark is going to land. Because when these dogs take off, we want them running in a straight line. We don't want them taking off all cattywampus, and then they're trying to get their bearings as they're trying to remember or see where that mark or that blind that you're running may be at. All right. So what we do is we want to figure out where the mark is going to land. So as I said before, my winger is over here. I don't want the dog pointed where the bird is coming from. I want the dog to be pointed at where the bird is going. All right. So, what I see a lot of novice handlers do is they'll line the dog up right on the gun. Gage here. Sit. And so you'll see that as where the mark is coming from versus heel. Sit. Good. Mark. Where the mark is going. You'll see how much of an angle that is. Again, this is, I don't know, 10 yards, maybe, all right? So an angle right now isn't really that big of a thing. But put this mark out at, say, 75 or 100 yards, that angle opens up a lot. This definitely comes into play when you're looking at multiple birds from a hunting situation, a blind, or even multiple marks if you're looking at a hunt test or maybe even a field trial scenario, okay? So what we want to do, and right now we're going to do just singles, okay? So we line the dog up, all right, we tell the dog mark. The dog should look out front, and again, we have that straight line going to roughly where the mark should land. So you'll see where my hand is pointed, mark. Okay, dogs is here, sit. Dog's lined up, Gage. And all he has to do is take off straight for it. Here. Got a little bit excited. Here. Sit. Good. Good. Leave it. Hold. Good. Kennel. Sit. Good boy. Good. All right, so we'll get this reloaded really quick. All right, so as you saw, when I sent him, all right, I had him lined up. Mark went off, Mark hit, and I didn't move. All I said was his name. All right, that's his release command. You'll notice I never put my hand down. I never rushed my hand out to like send him off. All right, that's a big mistake that I see handlers make. Because what happens is, Gage here, sit. What I see happen a lot is the dog is locked in on wherever it is he's looking. Dead bird, good. And then if I do this, all right, or I pull this way, I can pull the dog's head, and now the dog's not even looking. So if I throw a mark, and then I let him go, and I say Gage like that, he's looking at my hand as it's coming away. Now it's pulling his eyes off of whatever it was that he was concentrating on. I'll show you what we use the hand for here in just a second. All right? But that's one of the biggest mistakes that I can see a lot of novice handlers make, both as working as a novice trainer and from when I'm sitting in a judge's chair as well. I'll see folks do that. Okay? So what we want to do is, again, we want that dog locked in on wherever that mark is, making sure that dog is straight and lined up. All right? And we don't want to do anything to distract the dog from that. So when we want to use the hand, all right, we may be doing things like a blind, or we're working on doubles. Good boy. Gage, kennel. All right. So in the doubles world, all right, we're looking at that seasoned senior. So that's where I've got my dog Reese. Reese, here. Heel. Sit. Good. All right. Here. Sit. Again, Reese is a 3-year-old. All right. So we're going to show you a simple double here. Okay. So what I'm going to do is this mark that you just saw, it's going to come out from my right, going to my left. All right. That's going to be our first bird out. That's going to be our memory bird. All right. And then I have another winger over here, which you may not be able to see off to the right. That's going to go out, and that's going to be our go bird. And I'll show you what we're going to use the hand for here in just a second. So here. So we get her lined up. All right. Good. Again, this is going to be our memory bird. Sit. Good. Mark. Sit. Nice and lined up, nice and straight. Everything's pointed right towards the bird. Then we turn her here. Sit. Here. Sit. All right. Now she's lined up for the second mark. Mark. And this is my go bird, so I'm not going to do anything other than her name. Reese. She took off on her name. She's able to stay locked in on that bird. All right. I never distracted with my hand, doing any hand motion or anything like that. All right. Now when she comes back, I want her to heel back, but I want her lined up where she's going to go. So she's almost there right now. Where's Mark? Good. Leave it. Where's Mark? You'll notice everything is nice and straight through the tail, the spine, the neck, the head, and the nose, right to where she's going. Now, when she's locked in to where I want her to go, I'm going to put my hand down just on top of her peripheral vision. That's basically telling her, yep, that's exactly where I want you to go, and that you're about to get released. Where's your mark? Good. Reese. You'll notice she got a little amped up, all right, when she saw that hand come down, because she knew what was getting ready to come next. Good. Heel. As you can tell, sit. Reese is a lot more amped up than what Gage is. Sit. So when she sees that hand come down, she knows what the deal is. All right? Now, we saw that for the marks, and it's going to be the same thing for our blinds. Sit. All right? So now, what we're going to see is the same thing. Now, granted, she saw me set it down, but a blind is a bird that the dog did not see fall. So this is bringing in our hand again. So we're going to get her lined up, sit, dead bird. Good. Good. Back. She saw that hand come down over the top, just inside of her peripheral vision, not distracting her or taking her eye away. Heel. Sit. And then she was sent on command. Leave. Sit. Good girl. Release the kennel. Good girl. All right. Now, you can start this with a young puppy. All right. I like to start them as soon as I bring them home. So what I'll show you here is with my youngest dog, Reese. Now, she's a little bit bigger. She's a year old, but she's a very small dog, so I should still be able to show you a little bit of this. All right, she's steady. But I'll show you how we would do this for a puppy. Alpha, here. Good girl. Here. Here. Sit. Good girl. Notice we've already worked on her, so she's halfway lined up. But if I had a puppy, like a real young one, what I would do is I would just come and I would get her lined up in the direction. Good girl. Where's the mark? Where's the mark? Yes. Girl. And then I'm going to get them really amped up by doing a lot of quacking. Notice your ears perk. There it goes. Your dog's going to want to take off. Good girl. Half up. And then you just let them go. But again, they're already lined up, so they're already starting to learn to get pointed at wherever it is that they want to go. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Kennel. Kennel. Good. Sit. All right. Now, one way that we can do this to work on getting our dogs lined up, like what you saw with Reese for that second mark, all right, we can do drills, all right? If you want to call it like a forward the wind type drill, all right? So what I mean by that is, let me grab another bumper here really quick. All right, when I throw the bumper, I want the dog returning to a different direction than what they left, okay? So what I'll do is, I'll have her facing this direction. I'm going to throw her the bumper, but when she returns, I'm going to be facing 90 degrees the other way. So that way it's going to force her to learn, and this comes through basic obedience of the heel, to learn to wherever I'm pointed to with my foot, that's the direction that you need to be pointed. So again, it all comes down to the basics of getting your dog lined up and getting presented for the next bird that they're about to see. So I'll show you what I mean. Half up here. Good. Heel. Sit. Good. Sit. Mark. Doesn't have to be a far toss. Half up. She takes off. I turn my 90 degrees. Good girl. Here. Good girl. Here. Good. Heel. Here. Sit. Good. And notice she's turned 90 degrees from where she started. Leave it. Good. Sit. Mark. Half up. Georgie gets it. Good girl. Now I turn my 90 degrees. Heel. Sit. Good. Good. Leave it. Good. And again. Sit. Mark. Half up. And then I can turn back to my 90 degrees. Good girl. Here. Heel. Sit. Good girl. Good. And that's the basics. All right. Now once we get, if you want to call it advanced, all right, what I can do here, sit, mark, is I might turn 180 degrees. Half up. So now when she comes back, she's 180. Here, come on. Here, sit. Good. Good. Leave it. Good girl. Good girl. Good. Kennel. All right, sit. Good girl. So again, all that's doing is that's prepping her for when she does start to get to move to doubles. Right now, she's only on singles, but that's prepping her to learn wherever I'm pointed for that next bird, she's going to come and line up parallel to me and be facing wherever that bird's at. And what this will translate over to is when we start to run blinds is those very minute movements. All right. So what I can show you here is with gauge. All right. And you might be able to see it. We'll see if the camera will pick up the minute movements. Gauge here. Sit. All right. I'm just going to toss this out there. All right. So there's one. Sit. There's one. And there's two. All right, hopefully you can see both of those. So right now I have him lined up on the left bumper, all right? Now, if I wanted him to go to that left bumper, here, sit, here, sit. But he's facing this direction, all right? I may be able to sit, I may be able to get him to look at this bumper, all right? But he's lined up to the right. Now, he can see these, but if I put him out at, say, 75 to 100 yards, he can't. So, what he's been taught is wherever his body is pointed, that's where he's going to go. All right? So, these minute movements, so we'll see if we can do it here. Here, sit. Hopefully, it'll pick up on the camera. Sit, dead bird. Good. Good. Notice those really tiny movements that he did here. And while it may not seem like a big deal here, sit. Again, you put that triangle out at 75 or 100 yards, that can put the dog 30 or 40 yards off of its intended target. All right. Good boy. Good. Kennel. Good. So again, it makes a difference when you're looking at birds that may have sailed when you're hunting. Definitely makes a difference in hunt tests on a bird that you may or may not want the dog to pick up first. Might be a hot blind. It could be a whole plethora of things. But again, it comes down to getting that dog lined up and starting that puppy off right from the beginning. Just remember, through that tail, up through the spine, through the neck, the head, and the snout to exactly the point where you want that dog to go. If that dog is off by that much, move the dog. Okay, at a very young level, Heffa here, as in a hunt test, like a starter or a junior, I can hold my dog. So I may not be able to get them to move the real tiny minute movements, but what I can do is if she's faced this way, but I need her to go over here, I can move her this direction, and I can get her lined up. Good, good girl, good. And now she's in a better position. So in those younger stakes, those lower stakes, don't be afraid to use that collar to help. If she's really hung up on something over here, but I need her to face this direction, here, good, sit. And now she's lined up and she's ready to go. Good, good girl, good, kennel. Good girl. Kennel. Good, sit. Good girl, good. All right, so again, I really encourage you guys, whether you're training by yourself, with wingers or what have you. If you've got a partner to help you out, a bird boy, bird gal, spouse, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, get them out in front of you and work on really concentrating on getting that dog lined up to where you want them to go. Because in the end, it's going to help you when you start getting at those farther distances. So I hope that helped. And if you have any questions, let me know.